Welcome to GC Sidebar, a short and sharp conversation series with leading general counsels about the decisions, the reflections, and the people behind the title. I'm Trista Engel, CEO of Paragon Legal, and today I'm joined by Lisa Gorman, Chief Legal Officer at Eventbrite, a leading global ticketing and events marketplace. Lisa has spent more than 8 years at Eventbrite, progressing through the organization to lead not only legal, but also business operations and platform policy. And she most recently played a central role in the company's $500 million acquisition by Bending Spoons. Lisa, I'm so excited you're here. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Trista.
Let's dive in. What's one thing you're most focused on for 2026 and why?
I'm most focused in 2026 embedding legal earlier and more strategically into how the business makes decisions. I think that legal teams are less effective when they function primarily as downstream reviewers. And I hear all the time from people that they've worked at organizations where the legal team was perceived as a blocker. And so, folks around the business come to legal sort of as late as possible because they don't want to hear no, and they don't want legal to block them. So I think in order to, legal needs to be proactive and really a trusted partner to help shape decisions early. If we're involved early, we can help the business understand the trade-offs. We can help the business anticipate downstream consequences. We can help the business design solutions that are not just legally sound, but also operationally effective. And when we're brought in too late, we can't do any of this. So employment law is a really good example of why this matters. In-house employment lawyers, I think we're most effective when we're thought partners to HR and also to cross-functional leaders, rather than just the people that you call when there's already a problem, when there's a termination or litigation or what have you. And this is because employment disputes are shaped months earlier through everyday employment management decisions and documentation. Terminations that happen without prior warnings or documented feedback are much more likely to lead to claims. And so documented feedback signals to employees that their tenure may be at risk, their employment may be at risk, and that gives them context and fairness in the moment, and also beneficially significantly strengthens our defense if litigation does occur later. So if we're embedded early, on the other hand, we can coach managers, we can start to see and flag emerging risk patterns, and we can really help the business design consistent, fair processes. And in doing so, we can prevent employment claims. So, that's beneficial. At the same time, we help the business grow in a way that protects employee morale. So this applies far beyond employment law, right? This applies to product launches. This provides to vendor relationships, to marketing campaigns, to AI adoption, moving legal from a late stage checkpoint to a strategic input that helps the business move faster and smarter. That's the shift that I care most about in 2026.
I love the way you're approaching it, where you're saying that's on us now. We're going to take the initiative to get more involved earlier and make that happen. And it leads to better work by your legal team, but importantly, better business outcomes, as you described. So taking a proactive role in solving that problem is a great focus for the upcoming year.
And it's really just about relationships, building relationships and building trust so that people don't feel like they have to come to you. They really want to bring you along. You've got this relationship and they feel like, oh, I wonder, what Lisa or whomever on the legal team would say about this. Let me get their thoughts. And so becoming that trusted partner is really important.
Yeah, I love that. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned as a GC?
The most valuable lesson I've learned is that your best work is often invisible. Your credibility is built on the risks that you flag that never happen, and no one ever thanks you for them. And as a person who really thrives on positive reinforcement, this has been an important lesson for me. I think our best work is lawsuits that don't get filed, regulatory inquiries that don't come, contracts disputes that don't materialize. And early on in my career, it was really tempting for me to measure my success by the visible moments, right? So winning litigation, helping putting out fires and managing crises and getting the affirmation that, I'm doing a good job. And what I've realized over time is that success as an in-house lawyer sometimes just looks like nothing happening at all. And that doesn't come with applause or real clear feedback loops. So it's a tough shift. You really have to stop waiting to be thanked. And you have to start measuring your impact by the problems that you prevent rather than, the fires at the business that you're helping to put out. And those are the ones that come with accolades. And that's really the difference between, managing risk versus leading strategically. And, as you start to lead strategically, it becomes so much more rewarding.
Yeah, that is one of the hardest things about legal. If you are doing your job really, really well, you're avoiding all of those fires and legal battles and risks that you're trying to avoid. Do you have any thoughts or tips on how to either create visibility for those wins that are risk avoidance, or how to put numbers or value? Because this is something I hear a lot from people, that how do you put a number, how do you put a value to a risk avoided or a lawsuit avoided? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I think if you're a strong legal leader, then you have, again, it goes back to relationships and trust, right? If you're perceived by leaders across the organization as someone who gives wise counsel and helps the company grow effectively while, maintaining employee morale and mitigating risk and putting things in place early on that protect the business, then I don't know, from my perspective, I don't know why you need a number to show that. I mean, you need people to feel that and to appreciate that. And, I think that leaders do. They're able to say, oh, wow, I really value this partnership and the conversations that we have and the guidance that you give early on. And, that's enough for them to realize that, like, you are, as a strategic leader, you are helping the organization mitigate risk along the way.
That's a great solution. I love that reframing. What's one career moment that changed your trajectory?
So this happened in 2024 when I stepped in to lead Eventbrite's trust and safety policy team. I agreed to step in the role. We needed somebody to do it. And I had seen firsthand how high the stakes were and how much of a risk was being created by, like, the structure of the system itself. And so I agreed to take it on. It was out of my comfort zone, which is how I knew it was probably a good thing to do. And it became pretty clear to me that the core problem that we were experiencing wasn't about execution. It was about the design of our program. And, the program had been, in effect for quite some time. And it's hard to make a fundamental shift to a program like that. But it wasn't working. Our moderation practices, we were doing extensive off-platform research, and the program forced, like, subjective no-win judgment calls. And these are polarizing issues, right? So I stepped back, and instead of optimizing for this system, I proposed this fundamental shift, that we stop reviewing off-platform content altogether, and that we separate the infrastructure from promotion. So, basically saying, look, political and social issues events, they can continue using our ticketing tools, our utilitarian tools, but they're excluded from our discovery feed. The result was that the program was cleaner to administer, it became easier to defend, and it became less resource intensive and really much less controversial. This whole experience fundamentally changed how I thought about the GC role. Again, it's sort of what I said earlier. It was like I had previously in my role helped manage all the crises, right, that had erupted from the program. And the most meaningful win that I had was that, problems stopped erupting because I had redesigned the system.
Yeah.
And so the highest value legal leadership, again, it's not like reactive defense. It's like stepping back, questioning assumptions, and then really building structures that prevent risk from arising in the first place. And this was like that in action.
That's such a great example. That sounds like a really fun and fulfilling moment for you. And I love that sort of full circle moment that it changed the way that you think about the general counsel role. And I also love that it was something you stepped out of your comfort zone on, something you hadn't done before. That is a very common theme with a lot of the general counsels I've spoken to, where they have shared experiences where they did something they've never done before. And it gave them this broad perspective, this new experience that really helped put that general skill set in the general counsel title. And that's very similar to what you're describing. How have you leveraged flexible legal talent as a way to augment your in-house team?
Well, it is a cost lever, of course, but it's also, I think, more importantly, a way to protect judgment, right? So I always ask myself, like, where does judgment really matter? And I keep in-house any work that requires like context and trust and decision making under ambiguity, like that stays in-house. And then we use flexible talent for like volume and specializations. I never flex out any work that requires like either deep institutional knowledge or like cross-functional trust and relationship. Those are compounding assets and you don't want to outsource them, right? You want to keep that in-house. I use flexible talent in a way that like allows the in-house team to stay focused on the judgment and also the relationships that really matter to their success.
That's a great framing because, yes, you can access flex legal talent for cost reasons or cost benefits, for specialized knowledge, and for, staff augmentation when you're just busy. But the important piece of what you said is that it also, not only does it prevent burnout on your existing team, it also allows them to level up and focus on the development opportunities and the things that are really business critical. So it gives your existing team, your core in-house team, the opportunity to develop their skills in a way that's really meaningful to the business.
Yeah, and meaningful to them so that they stay, right? Because we have a really long tenured legal team. And I think that's part of, and their career development has been so important. And that's part of why they stayed.
100%. When you're not lawyering, where are you most likely to be found?
Well, I have 4 teenage kids. So if they're willing to hang out with me, then I'm with them. But, between their friends and their school and their activities, that's rare. Otherwise, when my kids are too busy for me, I am often seeing live music or comedy with my husband. And, I play a lot of pickleball and mahjong with my friends because we're old ladies and that's what old ladies do.
Nice. I love that. And the bonus question, Paragon turns 20 this year. What's one memory from 20 years ago that still stands out to you?
20 years ago, 2006, I got engaged. I would say that the proposal itself doesn't stand out to me. In fact, I would say I have sorry to my amazing husband, but not a great proposal story, but the engagement stands out to me. It's pivotal because I realize that moments don't have to be dramatic, right? To be pivotal. The pivotal moments are like this clarity and the noise stops and you realize you've made a decision that you can build on, and that sort of gives you this peace.
I love that. That's a great lesson. And I think about those are the things we want to teach our kids so they don't have those moments of anxiety without the clarity. Oh, that was really fun, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing all that great detail and your journey. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was so much fun. I appreciate meeting you and the opportunity.
All right. That's a wrap on today's episode of GC Sidebar. Catch more great conversations on our website at paragonlegal.com. Thanks for tuning in.